Okay. So welcome everybody to our Tech Labs winter session. We are going to be learning about Google search tips and tricks from Pam Doran. And Pam Doran, for those who don't know, is our Rojan Library technology guru. She likes to be called a geek, and I'm okay with that. Pam's been doing this for us for Rojan Library for about 8 years, so it's a long time, and I so love that she's continued to do this with us. We just wouldn't learn anything without her. Um, Pam is a technology and education technology specialist. She's currently working with SUNY Empire as an digital accessibility coordinator, and she does know everything in technology. So any questions you have for this session or any other session, please feel free to ask her either here in the chat, or you can send her an email. She'll share her email with you. But if you aren't sure, tonight we're going to be talking about Google search. And at the end of this session, we're going to be talking about calendaring, a little more tips about how to utilize your calendar the best way possible. And that's all I have. Thanks so much for coming. Thank you, Pam. We'll talk soon.
Well, thank you very much again for coming. It's good to see some new faces and some familiar faces. So like Beth said, today we're going to look at Google, which is the most used search engine, but it has a lot of hidden tricks and tips that can really make you a power user and help you find things like rebates, search even stronger using images, and some exotic things like speak other languages. So we're going to cover those. And then we're also going to look at Google Calendar, which is a very popular calendaring system. And we'll look at, there's one question here that I got as an email, is how to set up separate calendars, like 3 baseball teams inside the same calendar, which is a great question, because sometimes you have family members going in all different directions, or, different, want to keep your business and your personal stuff on the same calendar. So we'll cover that. That's a great question. Thank you for sending it, Sharon. If anybody has any specific questions that they're interested in and they want to make sure that I cover, please go ahead and put them in the chat. I will stop from time to time to see if there's any questions in the chat and pause for questions. So you'll have an opportunity to open your mic, ask any questions that come up. And I am going to put my email address in the chat right now for you. And you can, I'll add it again later. So if you have any questions that you think about later, go, oh, I wish I asked that, feel free to email me. I will answer any question, usually within 24 hours. If it's a weekend, maybe 48, because I try and be a little bit screen-free on weekends. So let's get started. We're going to first share my screen, and I'm going to share with sound, because eventually we're going to have talking. So share. Okay, so. Hey, can you see my browser window?
We can.
Great. Okay, so I am going to go just to google.com. And this is our usual Google, spot where we're used to seeing the where we go when we type in a search word or something that we're looking for. So for instance, if I was looking for the Rojan Library, I would go ahead and I would type the information here and hit enter, and I get my typical search results here. Now, the way Google operates, they have an algorithm where they bring the most popular items to the top. So if it has the most links going to it, the most references going to it, the most visits using those keywords, they will put that to the very top. And this is a nice example of that, where we see Rojan here at the top, kind of teases out the website a little bit for us. And then if you scroll down, you see other things related to Rojan. So their Instagram page, other things. But if we were to look for something a little more less granular. If we were to look for something like Ford cars, you hit enter. You'll see that, we're getting some shopping here. We're getting this Ford. And what happens when you search is sometimes, for some reason I didn't do it with this one. I'm going to just put cupcakes. You'll see something that says sponsored next to it. And a sponsored website means that someone paid to be at the top of your list here. So typically I never click on anything that says sponsored. So here we got all of these sponsored items that they're trying to sell. So that's normally not something that you're looking for.
Why don't you click on a sponsored tab or page?
Right here.
Why
Well,
don't you?
sometimes, and I'm going to stop sharing a second just because this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a sponsored link is legitimately the company is paid extra money and they want to be the top of the list so they get more of your clicks and they get your eyeballs first. But sometimes bad websites will pay for that keyword. So like cupcakes, even though I didn't see it in this example. And they'll be the top one there, and you think that you're clicking on cupcakes or your bank or something important that you're looking for, medical information. And what it is when you click on it, it's actually spam, or sometimes even worse. You'll get like, have you ever clicked on a link and it starts going, call Microsoft now. You must call Microsoft now. Time to call Microsoft now. This is our number. Don't turn off your computer. And it's like keeps banging and banging your noise at you. Well, that's like a scam. And we'll go into scams and we'll talk about scams at a different lesson that's coming up in a few weeks. So sponsored ads, if it says sponsored next to it, I don't always trust it. And sometimes when you click on the sponsored one, it puts you into an advertising section that's kind of locked in and not the full website. So excellent question. Was that just yours or was that someone in the chat?
I think I just asked it, but
that was a good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So I've searched for cupcakes here. And if you notice, underneath cupcakes, we have a mini toolbar here. If I click on images, it will sort my Google search to only showing me images. So if I'm looking for a cupcake for a recipe I'm looking for, or if I want something specific that I'm designing, say a birthday card, I can do that to see just cupcakes. But then it gives you yet another way to sort. If you look underneath images now, we have some more items: pink, cute, wedding, animated, purple, elegant, pastel. So you can go through here and pick styles of images that you might want. Magnolia cupcakes, or Magnolia Bakery. So you can sort through your images that way. Also, now that I've selected images, if I go all the way over here to more and click on that, you'll see there's some different areas here, and then there's tools. If I click on tools, I get a hidden search form here where I can pick the size of the picture I'm looking for. I can specify colors. So if I only want blue cupcakes, I can pick blue cupcakes. Usage rights. This is fantastic. Creative Commons licenses means that you are free to use that image in publications. So if you do newsletters or you're worried about using something that you don't have the rights to use, you can use that. And then also you can click on commercial and other licenses and you can find professional ones that you can pay to use and license even in your stuff. So Creative Commons means you're free to use it. You can also select type: clip art, line drawing, GIF. So if I do clip art, you'll see all my cupcakes now are animations. Here I can clear. Is there a question? There's a little noise. Okay. So how do we go the opposite way? I'm going to go back to the original google.com site and then clear the palette for us. Now, in this area where I originally typed cupcakes, if you go to the side here, you'll see there's a microphone and a camera. This also exists if you use the Google search app on your phone. So if you go to a browser on your phone or your mobile device and you just go to google.com, you may not see these icons, but you would see them if you download the Google app. Now, the camera lets you search by image. So I have a picture of a butterfly that I'm going to upload here. I put it on my desktop a little while ago. And I have this picture of a butterfly, and I want to know what kind of butterfly it is. And if you see here, it's identified it as a Ulysses butterfly for me. And it goes through to the Wikipedia pages, gives me more images of the butterflies. So if you have your camera available and you have an image of something, say maybe a line drawing from a book, and you're not sure which book this page fell out of, you could take a picture of it and try and match it up. You can also use this for barcodes. So if you use your camera and point it at a barcode, it will bring up that product in a variety of stores, and you can kind of shop right from your right from the aisle of your store. Say Ollie's, you're in Target, you're in Walmart, wherever. Scan the barcode and see if you can get a better deal online before you bring it to the register. It's one of my favorite tricks to do with it. So that is how you use your camera search. So any image that you have either on your computer or take a picture with a camera, you can search for it, which is very, very helpful. I'm going to go back to the main Google page. Here, it has search by voice. So if I click that, it will listen for what I have to say, and I can say the keywords I want to search for rather than type it, which is very handy on tiny little keyboards on your cell phone. So if I click that, event schedule for Hudson, New York in April. So it did very quickly, just gave me the information here. So without having to use my hands, type, I can do that in order to search using my voice. Okay, so I'm going to pause there a second, see if anybody has any questions or ideas about that. Let's put this over here.
The microphone function is helpful if you're an atrocious speller.
Yes.
That too. And when you want to use punctuation when you're speaking, you have to say those for you. So if you're a atrocious speller, but sometimes also on that little keyboard, it's hard to switch to get to the commas and the quotation marks. And
yeah.
So if you were speaking, I would say like Hudson, comma, New York, period. So you would say out loud your punctuation. So if you're going to use your voice to type, keep in mind that it will just skip over any punctuation unless you say that out loud along with the words.
So you got good spelling, but you got no commas or period.
No. Well, the grammar still has to suffer a little bit, right? Yeah. So that you would have to say like colon, and colon sometimes is hard because it's also a body part. So it'll sometimes spell out colon for you. So you might have to go back and edit that one. Good question. All right, so I'm going to go back to Sharon. Okay, and back to Google. So next up, one of my favorite tips to use in Google, and we're going to look here on these bottom area, is news. I like news because if I look for, I'm going to do Hudson, New York again. And I would normally, if you go to Google and you type Hudson, New York, you're going to get maps, you're going to get the Wikipedia about Hudson. But I heard something was going on in Hudson, and I want to see the latest news out of Hudson, New York. Or if I heard information about a book signing, or, and I don't want just a generalized thing, I want to know exactly what has been posted in the news. So this only gives me links that are from newspapers, radios, informational blogs. And if I use that tools button again, I can also sort by past hour, past year. I can go into the archives and go way back a few years. So you're like, oh my gosh, do you remember that big fire that happened? I think it was like 4 years ago. You can use that to try and find it. You can also do sorted by relevance. So you can sort it by, how many times the word keyword shown there, or you can sort it by date and it'll automatically put the most recent news to the top and the older news to the bottom. You can also ask it to hide duplicates. So if the same news agency is reporting, the same story is going across many different news agencies, you can ask it to please not show you all of them. So you get like a more itemized list of things that you want to see. So I like using news when I'm trying to find things that are very specific. Someone announced a concert and I missed it. Saw something on Facebook that I can't find on the feed anymore. So that's how you can isolate your news. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before, and that is shopping.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Is it possible to enlarge your screen a little?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, much better
Okay.
there.
Thank you for asking. Okay, so here's where we just were with news. And to show you again, this is the tools area. All right, so shopping here, if I click shopping, this is where you can sort, almost like an Amazon shopping experience, what you're looking for, but it aggregates that item from all different places. So here's Walmart, there's eBay, independent sellers, Etsy. So if you're looking for something and it doesn't seem to be available on any of your usual favorites, you can check here. It also gives you the option of getting it today, what's on sale, what's under $80, and you can even hit this sorter here, and you can sort that you only want to shop small businesses. You're interested in used, and you can even set your price. So if you wanted to get, like say, a new bathroom sink and you want to spend no more than $150, you can put the range and it will search the stores for you. You can even ask for stores that offer free shipping. So it's a very easy way to kind of shop quickly and effectively a variety of items. So I'm going to switch this to, let's switch it to books. How about Stephen King? So here you can see some Stephen King books. You can see what's on sale. You can see comics. So it even automatically starts sorting based on what you've chosen to look for. So that is the shopping area of Google, and it's excellent. Now, next up, we're going to look at, now this is a very popular app, which is the Google Maps. if you haven't tried it already, a lot of people use it for directions. So here I have Hudson as a search. It's giving me Hudson. It's telling me the weather in Hudson. I can select directions and it will give me my location to Hudson if I want to, or any location. And if I click send directions to your phone, then it'll send these directions to your phone and give you a turn-by-turn navigation, just like you would have in your car. What I like about this is I get lost in big cities sometimes. And up at the top here, you can change how you get there. So you can say, I want to take transit. So if you happen to be down in New York City and you want to know which subway to which subway to which bus, it'll tell you exactly which platform, which side. It's very nice. If you're walking around in New York City, this is a great thing to use because if it's set to car, some streets are one way. So it may make you walk farther than you need to. So setting it to walking or cycling will give you not only paths that go against traffic because you can, it also will point out hiking trails and bicycling trails that may take you off the main road, almost like our trail behind me here, the Hudson Valley Rail Trail. So it will do that for you. So that is an excellent way. Now,
Okay.
another thing that I like about it, and I'm going to go to Warren Street a second. In Hudson. Now, let's say I got my directions and I want to go to the Hudson Area Library, but I want to know what it looks like on the outside and what's the parking situation like over there. Is it easy or hard to find parking? Down here at the bottom, you'll see there's a little yellow man. He's kind of wiggling around when I wave my hand on him. If I click and drag him, I grab him by the scruff of his neck and I can drop him where I want to see. So I want to see what's it like here at State and Fifth. That's where I want to go. And when I let him go, it drops me right into that spot. And I can click and drag my mouse around and kind of look. I'm like, okay, it looks like it's mostly off-street parking. I don't see any parking lots here, but they do have a couple of handicap spaces. That's good. So I'll know that if I want to go to this library, more than likely I'm going to have to parallel park. I don't see any parking here. And if you wanted to
Pam,
walk
excuse
around.
me. Pam,
Yep.
is this a current, like when you're looking at this right now,
Mhm.
would that be real time? Like if
That's,
somebody wanted to go and park there now, is that
yeah.
what it looks like now or today?
Well, it can't be today because look at all those green leaves.
Right.
But I wish it was today.
Right.
But it might be hard to see on Zoom. But at the very bottom, I'm going to move my mouse down here. There's a little message that says image capture. And this
Ah.
was captured on September 2019.
Okay. So the parking may have changed, but yeah.
So
I get the
parking may
idea.
have changed. You know, it could be that there's snowbanks here. And if you see where I move my mouse, there's a little arrow on the ground. When the arrow's pointing this way, if I click on it, it's going to walk me around. So I can say, all right, I didn't see parking there, but maybe there's parking towards the back. And I can keep clicking the mouse to see, oh, there's the book drop. That's helpful. And is that a parking lot? Nope, more side street parking. So one thing that I've done, and I'm going to close this out, which was extremely enjoyable for my grandfather, who moved to Florida and never had plans to go back to the Bronx ever again. His family had long moved away. None of his friends were there, but he wanted to see his old neighborhood bad. So we went to 184 Calhoun, typed it in, and I showed him how to do it. And he was walking around, going to his different neighborhoods. He's like, oh, well, that used to be so-and-so's house and this one's house. And it was a nice trip down memory lane.
What a sweet
So,
story.
yeah, so if you want to try it yourself, you know, it's a fun thing to do. So I recommend it. You can kind of see how the neighborhood changed or the houses changed or for little kids, sometimes they enjoy walking around Disney World that way. You know, it's kind of gives them a virtual trip. So it's a nice feature of Google that I think is very nice.
Pam,
Yeah,
could you tell me, I missed how you activate the voice narration for directions that tell you turn here and go there? Could you
well,
repeat?
it won't work on the computer. Because I'm on a desktop computer here. It's an excellent question. Because my computer is not moving, it's staying in place.
Yeah.
But if I do it on my phone, and I'm gonna do that right now for you. So I have the Google app. Let me see if you can see here. So it looks a lot like what we just saw, just a little narrower. And I'm gonna search for Hudson, New York. Here's Hudson, New York, and then at the bottom there, you see where it says directions on the button? The blue
Yes.
one? Okay, so I'm gonna click that directions. And now at the bottom of here's my directions showing me how to get to Hudson. At the bottom, it says start.
Start.
And I'm gonna turn up the volume loud on this. And when I hit start, you'll hear. Not talking right now. Probably because I'm not in a moving car. But it will show me here. It could be the Bluetooth's in the way. It'll say, turn north on 22.
So you basically hit directions and then start,
On your
and
phone.
then it'll start guiding
It'll
you.
They'll start driving you. And what I recommend too, if it's the first time you've ever used it, do it somewhere you know how to get there. So you understand that it's working and how it sounds and, you know,
Okay.
sometimes it switches to Bluetooth or whatever. So you want to make sure that before you rely on it to go somewhere you don't want to know, the first few times you're trying this Google Maps, you know, if you're going somewhere that you're very familiar how to get there, try it out that way so you can kind of get what it sounds like, you know, because it will give you a little alert before you get to a turn, and then it'll give you another alert. Shows
Thank
you
you.
can see how the map switches, but it's really helpful. I can't live without it. Quite
Thanks
honestly.
a lot.
So Pam, along the same lines, I sometimes have difficulty, like for Waze, it doesn't always talk to me. Is there
Mm.
something that can be done, or is it maybe my phone? Does it work on all phones that way where it automatically speaks to you?
What happens with Waze and Google Maps at times? Do you use the radio, you know, your phone, like the Bluetooth going through?
No.
Okay. Because if you lower the volume on your phone while the Waze person is talking to you, you actually mute them. So you have to go into the Waze app, and this is like kind of
Right, which I
individualized, so
have.
email me and I'll give you the exact steps to turn that off. But if you happen to like lower the volume on your phone because the Waze, you're trying to hear someone else talking to you, and then you raise the volume on your phone again, your phone's volume will go up, but doing that action actually mutes the voice that's giving
Oh,
the directions.
okay.
Way to turn that off and make sure it doesn't happen again. So
Pam, what is your email address again?
it's Glory Pam, and I'll put in the chat again at email.com.
Where am I
And
seeing that?
I found out that problem.
Oh,
the hard way.
glorypam@gmail.com.
You got it. I was driving to an airport, Bradley. I'd never been to Bradley before. It was snowing, it was raining, and I found out the hard way that it wasn't talking to me. And I missed turns and I ended up going over mountains and stuff, just barely made my plane. And I sat on the plane the whole time trying to figure out what the heck happened. And that's when I researched the whole problem with the volume.
I have
So
a question.
same thing happened to me.
Sorry,
So-
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have Google Maps that I use. So it sounds like the Google app is more user friendly than Google Maps.
No, they're a good question. Google App is for the searching and all the fun stuff that I was showing you before.
Right, yeah,
Google Maps, you have the right thing. That's the exact thing you need.
okay, got it.
Location. We're
Thank
even doing the, the location, the street view, they call it. So, okay, very good. So I'm going to show you a few other tips here. One of my favorites is language translation. Who knew, right? So I'm going to go back to Google. And I'm just going to type the word translate. And it brings up this widget here. And I can speak here in English and it will translate what I say in Spanish. So, good evening. Thank you so much for coming to our Zoom session tonight to learn more about Google Search and Google
Buenas
Calendar.
noches. Muchas gracias por asistir a nuestra sesión de Zoom esta noche para obtener más información sobre la búsqueda de Google.
Can you
And-
repeat that, please?
I can by
No, I
hitting
know,
this little
it was
little thing
funny.
here. Now, if I wanted to copy that translation and paste it into an email or a text message, I could do that. And if I go the other direction, if someone speaks a language to you, it will translate it to English. So, buenas noches, gracias por esto.
Good evening. Thank you for this.
So it can translate other languages for you. Here at the bottom, where it says open in Google Translate, you get an even more robust version of it. And you can have it detect a language if you're not sure what language you're pasting in here or picture you're offering. And here's the list of languages that are available. It's extensive. It's over 130. So if you have family members or you're traveling and you want to kind of find out what's on the menu before you order it, this is a very nice system to have. It also gives you the option of uploading documents and images with text on it. So if you have an image, so if you take a picture of maybe an old letter from a family member, I'm going to go here into, let's see, documents. Go here in the references. Oh, there's that one here. Presentations. What is that? No. Meetings empty. Go to the desktop again. Look at forms. I got stuff. Ah, here we go. So here's a trusted tester certificate that I have. And I'm going to open it. And I'm going to switch it from English to Spanish. And you see that it's translated my document for me. I can even say, how about Arabic? So if you read a letter or you have old letters, you can scan them, upload them, try them out. One thing that I like to do as someone who is a foreign language learner is I will use this tool that allows you to speak. I will say what I hope will be correct in Spanish and see if I get the correct English translation. So if you're someone who is a language learner and you don't always want to bother a native speaker or you don't feel comfortable yet speaking with a native speaker, this is a way that you can practice your vocabulary and your pronunciation. So it's a fun little tool to have. Any questions on language?
I've used that one before, but didn't know it could go to the extent that you just showed. So thank you. It's
You're
good
welcome.
to know. It's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very helpful. And that bigger section too, that smaller one only lets you have, I think, 1,000 characters. The bigger section allows you to have up to 10,000 characters. So you can translate larger documents and larger text.
Hey,
which is
Pam, can you
very
show
helpful.
exactly, I'm sorry, where you got language, Google language or the translate? When you start out at Google, where is that in the category?
Well, it's not listed as a category, like I said, it's a hidden one. So I
Okay.
just typed the word translate
Mhm.
into the Google search term. And by doing that, it brings this up. Right here as a check. And likewise, if I need a calculator and I can't find one, if you type the word
Mhm.
calculator, it will bring up a calculator for you.
I have
So
a
if you-
question about the calculator.
yeah,
Can you use the voice command? Because it'd be a lot easier, like if you have a column of figures to add, if you could
right.
just read them off, but I haven't found the voice icon. Oh, is
Let me
that it
see.
up in the corner there?
See, Math Solver. No, but what you can do, that would only put here in this search for you.
Yeah,
Won't let you do it. There are Chrome browser extensions. One is called Read Write.
I'm sorry, read, right? Oh, I
Read
see.
Write, just like that. And it's an extension. And that will allow you to have a microphone on any part of any document or any part of the internet. So if you were to add that to Chrome, it will give you a Read Write icon here. And when you click on it and use it, it allows, takes me a little while to get this. Let me see. Settings, there we go. So it's in here, but I will give you the exact instructions for it. But what it does is it creates a bar that goes across here with a microphone that you could toggle on and off. So no matter where you are in any field, you can use it. And its voice recognition is very, very, very good. But when you use math with it, make sure you don't say just plus or minus. You have to say the words together, plus sign, minus sign. Because otherwise it'll type the word plus and the word minus.
Thank you.
Okay, so it takes a little bit of a trick to it, but it does work. I also use ChatGPT for adding up columns like that as well. And we're going to have a ChatGPT generative AI in-person session at the Rojan Library in a few weeks. And with that one, I just turn on the button on it and I can use that. So here, in that, I'll show you. So if I hit here, please add 5 plus 6 plus 17 plus 18 plus 24. And it tells me it's 70. So it did I didn't have to try and type all of those numbers all at once. So there are different ways you can do that. And if you send me an email, I'll give you better instructions on the read write and how to use that. And anybody else interested in read write, feel free. I will happily send that to you. And it's a free extension. It doesn't cost anything.
Excuse me, should Chrome be the default browser for Google?
Chrome is the browser that was developed by Google. It's their product. Edge was developed by Microsoft. And Safari is by Apple, and there's Firefox, which is kind of independent. So any Google things that I'm showing you here has been optimized for their browser because they're a company and they want you to use their stuff. Some of it will be there on other browsers, but it won't have the same functionality or robustness that Google Chrome has. So,
So in other words, when doing all these searches on Chrome, you
I'm
want to
doing
be, because I'll get a little drop down box which says
right,
my default on my iPad is Safari, and it
yes.
says, do you want to be?
Yep, you're right. Sorry to interrupt you. The iPad, you'll have to install the Chrome app. It's free, but all of these items are in there. Safari does have many of these same features, but their buttons are not going to be located or even named the same way. So you may also have the advanced search and all of the different places that I'm showing you, but most of them are going to show up in Google Chrome.
And it's easy to download that from the App Store. I mean, I have it on my iPad by downloading it from the App Store.
I have Chrome and I have Edge
Yeah,
and I have
that's
on
Chrome is your Google.
on my
Exactly.
on my tablet I have Safari. So if I
Right.
was doing this, I would want to specify when the drop down comes in and says, do you want to use Chrome? Do you want to use Chrome for this? You
Right.
say yes.
You would say yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I'd
thank
say
you.
yes. You're welcome. Good question. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. I'm going to show you one more shopping thing that I really like. And I'm going to search for Miami. If you see over here under more, you get some more items. Web, books, flights. If you click on flights, you can decide I want to fly out of Albany to Miami, when I want to go. And you can, just like the other shopping, you can figure out what is the cheapest. Can you have a carry-on bag? What airlines you prefer, emissions, times, when you want to arrive, and it will do all of that filtering for you on all the flights that depart. So you can see American, Southwest, any of these items here. You can switch what currency you are using. If you're an international traveler, that sometimes helps. Okay. And then you have the duration, we have all flights here. So this is one of the things I like. So here's best, and then here's the cheapest. So
Is that any different than typing in Google Flights?
it takes you to the exact same place.
Got it. Okay.
Google Flights or Google Travel. So
Okay.
you used this one before too?
I use Google Flights when I'm searching for a flight.
Yeah, me too. It's very clean. You don't get a lot of the ads. I found that I got some really good prices through here, which is fantastic. And if you have a favorite flight, you can say economy, first class, how many passengers, round trip, one way, multi-city. So it really does the work that a travel agent would do for you, which is very good. And then a little bit further down on this list here, you can track prices on a certain time or any dates. So I have one where I keep track of any flights to Orlando because that's where my mom lives. And I like to know when there's a price reduction or a sale. So I can do that. You can also have a date grid here. And it gives you a good idea of when are the good times to go. Sometimes waiting, leaving a day earlier might save you some money. Or even leaving a week or another week earlier. So you can kind of check your departure times and kind of judge and find a way to get a cheaper flight. They also have here the price graph. So you can see over time, when is the best time usually to travel? So if you're trying to be budget friendly and you want to save some money, this is one of, I think, one of the coolest things that Google does outside of Google Maps. So, and then it also has, once you're in here, hotels and vacation rentals is too. So after you book your flight, you can go to hotels and do the same thing and filter by rating. This is a built-in Google map, so you can click on it and use the same thing, kind of drop the pin and see what it's like. So this is yet another way to travel. And we've done entire classes on just the ways to use Google to enhance how you travel and make your life easier. So it's definitely worth checking out. Okay, so let's go back to the main Google. And since we have about 15 minutes left, I'm going to cover Google Calendar, which is my preferred calendar. So I'm going to type the word calendar, and Google Calendar shows up here. It's not sponsored. And this brings up your calendar. So it brings up a whole series of dates for you. By clicking on a date once, it automatically gives you the option to add a title and a time. You can add your time, so I'm going to say test date. This is for February 4th. Since it says here 4th to the 4th, it's an all-day event. If I say add time, I can make it at specific times. I have time zone here, so I can switch and check different time zones, which is very helpful because I work with the central time zone a lot. Underneath it, it says do not repeat. So if I hit save right now, that appointment is here on my calendar for the 4th. And if I click on it again, I can view it some more. I can remove this date by clicking here. I can email this date to myself if I need to, or to someone else. And if I click here, I can edit the event, and that brings me back to that other screen. Here, where it says do not repeat, if I click on that, I can decide how often I want this to appear. So daily, weekly on a Tuesday, annually on February 1st, so someone's birthday, I can have it every year just show up for the rest of the time. I can make it every weekday or a custom. So I'm going to say weekly on a Tuesday. And when I hit save, you'll see now here is that same appointment repeating itself over and over and over, and it will continue on into March and April. So if you have a running appointment and you say you're going to be coming back every week for a while, this is very helpful. And say I only want it to be for a few weeks. So it's going to be every Thursday or every Tuesday for the month of February, but it stops in March. Just go to March, click on it, hit edit, and then you can go ahead and go to more actions and delete this item. And it'll ask you, do you want to delete just this event or this one and all the following events? If I click that, you'll see now it's still in February, but all those other repeats are gone. Now here we have a question that Shannon sent, was how do I have multiple baseball teams or different calendars on this same chart, the same wall calendar? So here, if you notice, I have daylight savings time start, St. Patrick's Day. I didn't enter these calendars. This is an other calendar, which is holidays. If I wanted to add a calendar, I could go to the plus sign and click create a new calendar. So I'm going to call this calendar baseball team number 1. Now I'm going to create that calendar. It takes just a moment. And then on my list, when I go back to settings, which is going to bring me back to that main calendar chart that we saw, you'll see baseball team number 1 is here. Now, if I wanted to add, let's say away game, I go down here where it says Pam Doran, and it shows this teal blue color, which matches the teal blue color here. I click on that. I now have Pam Doran and baseball team number 1. So if I click baseball team number 1, this should turn purple. Because now it's part of that calendar. You want to hit save? I'll save it. And I'm going to make one more calendar. Let's make it baseball team number 2. Here's the calendar. It takes a moment. And now in the list, we'll have baseball team number 1 and number 2. And you'll see that this is now indicated as an orange color. I'm going to go back to the main calendar. I'm going to make home game here. Home game. If I go down to Pam Doran, where they're showing the teal, switch it to baseball team number 2, save. Now you see that I can categorize my different appointments for my baseball teams. And if I have I want to hide a section, if I want to hide the Pam, and I want to hide the holidays, and I only want to see what baseball number 1 is doing, I can just uncheck and check these buttons to make them hide or disappear.
But can you put 2 teams on the same calendar?
This is all the same calendar.
Pardon me?
This is all the same calendar.
Okay.
So this is March 25th. And this is April 21st. So these are separate appointments within the same calendar, and they're categorized by their baseball teams.
So the fact that where it says my calendar is beneath your name, it shows 2 separate calendars, but you're saying that
But it's, yeah. We call them my calendars, but it's actually like appointments, and you can, they can't call them appointments because Apple, when they created their calendar, they named it appointments and they copyrighted it. So they had to create this confusing system of calling it my calendars when it's my calendar inside of a calendar. So it's a little bit convoluted.
Thank you.
Sure. You know, it's the lawyers like to make things confusing. So here, this gives me a 1-month view. And if you go over here to the top right, where it says month, I can also change how I look at it. So if I want to see just today's appointments, I can do that. And then there's an arrow here for next and previous day. So I can page through and see my days. You can also sort it by just seeing a week, month, and schedule along through here. One thing that I do like, and then put it back on month, is here under other calendars as well. If I hit plus, I can say browse calendars of interest. And if I click that, you can have Christian holidays added automatically, public holidays, sports teams. So if you are say, Buffalo Bills fan, you can click that and all of the Buffalo Bill games are automatically added to your calendar. Phases of the moon. So you can pick different ones here. And you can see there's a whole bunch of holidays that you can pick too. So if you have family members or we do business in other countries, you can also add those as well. So I'll say holidays in Estonia. And then when I go back, you'll see there's Mother Tongue Day in Estonia, Estonian Independence Day. Now, if the colors of all these different calendars start looking like they're a little too close, if you go to one of your teams, your calendar here, click the three dots, you can pick a different color. So if you want to pick different colors, or if you're colorblind and you don't enjoy red, green colors, you can switch the colors of your labels there. Okay. And
Pam,
then
if I've been using Safari
Mhm.
and putting my appointments in the Safari calendar, the calendar from Safari, if
Mhm.
I switch over to Google and make my appointments in the Google, will those Google appointments show up in my Safari calendar? No.
they won't talk to each other. So whatever, if you're already using a calendar successfully, I would continue to use the Safari calendar. Maybe what would be a good thing to add to our list, Beth, is to do another revisit of an iPad session. iPhone session where we go through all these things, because a lot of these features I just showed you on the Google Calendar also exist on the iPad calendar. So you do have the option to have colored labels and repeating appointments and all of that. They do exist in the Apple's mechanism too. These companies compete with each other, and as soon as one adds a feature, the other one races to have the exact same feature there because they don't want one to be more attractive a product. So very often you'll see that there's a lot of parallels. So Google Maps has a map and Apple has a map. There's Waze out there. So all of these different companies that roll things out pretty much put a new paint job on the same product. And as soon as someone gets innovative and creates something exciting that people like, the other developers race to catch up and add it into theirs. So a lot of the things I showed you tonight, you will find on those other calendars. It's just the buttons maybe in different places. So try a new event on your calendar that's not an important event and test all the buttons that are there and see what you can discover. Don't do it with one that's important that you need, like, a birthday, maybe that's already repeating, whatever, but pick a blank day on your calendar, create that event, and then look in the corners for dots and hamburgers and all kinds of things. Poke around, and you may find these things that I'm showing you. The key with computers, and it's one of the things that drives me crazy, is if you don't have the exact vocabulary that they use to describe these things, you're not always sure that they really exist, or you don't know that they're there because the vocabulary is so obscure. Like we were just talking about now with the Google Calendar and had my calendars, so it made it very confusing about where extra calendars were and how you made an extra calendar. You have to have their vocabulary in order to turn these things on. And since this is a Google class, one thing I do a lot is I ask these questions of Google. So I'll say, how do I add a repeating appointment to an Apple calendar on iPad? And you'll see here, I get the exact steps to do it. Open the calendar app, select the date, click the add icon, and it walks you through. And if that's not enough, if you click the link that's there, it will give you the support page. You can see even more where it has actual pictures of where to click to do those things. So I use Google as a reference tool a lot for random questions like that. I'm like, this is driving me crazy. What did they call it? And you can even say, what do they call it repeating it on an iPad? And they'll tell you it's, something pop up, or so it's the hidden vocabulary really sometimes is what it takes to unlock your device. And as we all know, they don't send us a book with these things. They just give you the device and a cute little charger.
Something.
Yeah, they're like, go for it. Good luck. They don't really give you the vocabulary needed for all of these features that are built in. So, and then, you send me an email, you can always talk to me. So So we're at 7 o'clock. So if you come and you've heard what you need to hear, feel free to drop off the call at any time. I won't be insulted. I won't feel bad. But if you have any specific questions that you'd like to get answered while I'm here, I'll stick around. I'll be the last one to close down the window and say goodnight. So if you
Okay.
had
And
a good
also,
time.
just for those that are still here, thank you for staying. Next Wednesday, yes, on the 5th, we're going to be doing security and scams, which is a
Mm.
great class. You shouldn't miss it. I know. I wish everybody knows, and we're going to put out an email and certainly a posters and things, especially nowadays, especially now, like today. You should know about security on your computer. You should know about the scams that are coming. You should know about all kinds of ways to keep your data and your privacy private. So Pam will tell you all about that next
Yeah.
Wednesday on the 5th.
Very, will that include working on face? I'm so afraid to click on a link in Facebook
Yeah,
because I know that's the easiest way to get hacked.
Yeah. Well,
correct.
Pam will go over all that, I think, next week. There's a lot to cover, and yes, it'll
A
cover
lot to cover, and it's a
all your questions.
surprisingly low tech class because a lot of the cybersecurity skills you already have. You already have critical thinking skills. You know when you get that weird feeling like something's not right. Like I don't want to click that Facebook. Trust yourself.
Right.
So it's a surprisingly low tech class. It sounds like cybersecurity. This is
No, it's a lot of good
So
information.
it's February 5th at 6 o'clock.
Yep, same time.
February 5th at 6, right here. I'll
Same
be
No,
sending
place.
you
Mar-
a link for that.
March 5th, not February. March.
I'm sorry, March. Thank you.
March 5th.
Sorry, I
March
don't know where I'm
5th.
at.
And
Another
Okay.
thing I wanted to say, and I'll be saying it next time too, and you certainly get information. In a few weeks later than next week's class, next week is March 5th. On the 23rd is a Sunday, and it's going to be our first sort of tryout here. Pam and I are doing this in person at the library, at the Rojan Library. We're going to be talking about AI and Chat GPT. And it's an in-person session mostly because I think Pam wants to be able to show you things that are, not just on your computer, but we can actually have a real workshop of
Right.
the ideas about AI and Chat GPT. So that's going to be on March 23rd, and it's a Sunday afternoon, but we're going to do it at the Rojan Library. And if anybody here that's on this call now isn't sure about where the Rojan Library is, I can put that also into the chat room. I think everybody is. And if you're not from Hillsdale or wherever you are from, you can certainly figure out where to get here. But
So we'll
you can
get a
also look for
notification
it.
for that.
I'm sorry.
We'll get a notification for that.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. That'll be another sign up. You have to sign up just like you did this one. All of the classes for Tech Labs are, you have to sign up. Actually, you know what? That's interesting that you bring that up, Barb. Pam, that is not going on through the Mid Hudson Library system, so we'd have to do a different kind of sign up or a different email to sign up with. And I'll figure that out with Tammy when I speak with her, because it won't be going
Because
to the Mid Hudson
originally
Library system.
when these were
Excuse me, I'm
announced,
sorry, Barb.
when these were announced,
I'm sorry.
the whole list of tech labs were announced, and we signed up at the library, and
That's correct.
and Tammy said she generated emails, or you generated emails to notify us. We didn't have to sign
yes,
up for them.
the poster of the Tech Labs sessions for the winter of this year are also in conjunction with the Mid Hudson Library system, which is how you register for these classes. You send an
Right.
email and say, I'd like to register. The two in-person ones that we're having at the Rojan Library are not through the Mid Hudson Library system.
Mhm.
There will be a different email to register. That's all, and that you'll know about that beforehand. I will be able to put that out there so that everybody knows what that's about, and it will probably come in the newsletter, the next newsletter, which will be a March newsletter. I don't think that the library's put one out yet, but it will be in there as to where and how you can register for those in-person classes.
And that one, with ChatGPT and Gen AI, the first part's gonna be what the heck is it? So if you keep hearing about it online and what the heck is it? And then the second portion is going to be more about how to use it effectively. How your people who are power users want to write prompts, all of this. But the first part is going to be all about what is it? What does it do? Why is everyone talking about it? So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. So
Is there a time for that one? What is the time on the 23rd?
That is going to be, I believe at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, the 23rd. Let me check that for sure.
Okay,
But you will get notified, or you'll be able to see it through the Rojan email, the newsletter that they put out that gives you the whole Tech Labs list. It will
okay,
be online on Facebook. I will be able to put that on the Hillsdale page, and I tend to spread it out to all the other, other towns around Columbia County. You'll be notified that way. I don't know how you get get these Tech Lab
just,
class
yeah,
notifications.
just as an email, but we could use Google Maps to get our location. from
that's
point
Yes,
A
for
to
sure,
point
for
B.
sure, for sure.
Marie, you're a star student and you know it.
For sure.
Maybe
make
it'll
sure-
talk to me.
We'll make sure you all know about it, where it is, when it is, what time it is. I'm almost sure it's at 1, and I'm gonna just check right now really fast
Okay,
if I can do that. I'm almost positive, Pam, you might
I
know that
think
off the
so.
top of your head. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday, the 23rd.
okay,
We have
I know it's
another
on my
one
Google
in April,
calendar.
but that's what it will be.
all right, sounds good, great, all
Yeah,
right,
it's
thank
gonna
you,
be a
another
great one.
great session. All right, and by that time it'll be light until 6, 7 o'clock, so those of us traveling from afar,
Let's
if we
hope so.
decide to come,
Let's hope
yeah.
so.
And there's a great coffee shop right in town here.
Okay, great, all right, thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Good
Thanks for
week. All
coming.
right,
Thank
see you next
you.
week.
Thanks, everybody.
Got it.
Pam, you want to
I'm
do
here.
your countdown?
10,
Hey,
9, 8, 7,
yeah,
6,
I,
5. One more question, Sharon. Yes.
well, no, it's a question about
Sharon, do you have a question?
my browser.
If you do, we can't hear you.
I don't know why that is. Can you
Oh,
hear
that's
me?
better.
There you
Mhm.
go.
Uh, in the email I sent you, I copied a message on the top of my Google Calendar that says I need to update my browser.
Okay.
But, and it's been for a couple months. I tried to update it. I wasn't able to figure it out. Can you
Okay.
walk me through that?
Sure. What device are you using?
Right now I'm on my laptop.
Is it a Mac?
No, it's a HP.
An HP. Okay.
Pam, do
And
you want to
so-
take this offline? Do you want to keep it on this Zoom call?
Yeah, I don't think anybody else would care.
I mean, because I'm still recording. Oh, I need to stop recording, first of all. That's
Just
one
stop
thing. I
recording.
should stop doing that. And
So